Hey, Shalom. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the men that rule well, where I learned this truth from. I want to say peace, mercy, and blessings unto all the hopeful elect. The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, which means he exists or he is to be. The true name of the Son is Yahweh Shai, which means he is the deliverer. We are the Hebrew Israelites, all right? And there's 12 tribes, not just one. And the so-called, we're being so-called today, Native American, Seminole Indian, Latin, Hispanic, Black, Negro, Colored, West Indian, Jamaican, Haitian, Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Mexican, okay? And it's not about skin color, right? It's not a black thing. It's about the seed line according to your father, all right? And the bulk of the elect, which, the chosen of the nation of Israel, are here in America. But our people are scattered all throughout the world, right? Now, the self-proclaimed white man, so-called Caucasians, Europeans, he is not white, he's red, all right? And he is Esau, Edom, Idumea, or Mount Seir, the dragon, the serpent from the garden when you read the Bible. Okay, and according to Bible prophecy, this man is the end of the world. All right, and Jacob or Israel, which Jacob's name was changed to Israel, is the beginning of it that followed. So we're living in a downfall of Esau's evil empire. He was given the earth for a time, right? But now that time is nearing his end. This is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So this man was given the earth. And during the time of the Renaissance, he began to get in power. And he deceived the whole world with Christianity, the white image of Jesus, telling you that God and the angels are white, etc. Okay, and also his monetary system, his dollar, his unrighteous decrees, same-sex marriage, his confusion, Darwinism, Big Bang Theory, all this bullshit that came from this man. So-called population control, vaccines, if you know what I'm trying to say. That's all part of his deception, because he's the wicked, and he was allowed to be loosed a little season to bring about deception, and the mass deception that they want to bring out is a new way of buying and selling, which when you read Revelation 13 and 16 on down, it talks about the mark of the beast. So that's what this is all a build up to, the crashing of, the economy and the laying out of a global reset, which is going to be that digital system, which is why everything is going digital. Okay, this is from Infowars.com. It says, breaking, Trump announces 125% tariffs against China, effective immediately. 90-day pauses for other countries. This is April 9th. Okay. And going down, Mr. Trump, now I'll say that, all right. Mr. Donald on Wednesday responded to retaliatory tariffs against the U.S. by immediately increasing his original 104% tariff imposed at midnight Tuesday to 125%. So these nations are going at it, because I believe China just hit back and put an 84% tariff on the U.S. for that 104% tariff. So he went ahead and upped it to 125%. So that's what you call a trade war, right? It says, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the U.S., all right, the West, to 125% effective immediately, okay? At some point, hopefully in the near future, all right, Moab will realize that the days of ripping the USA and other countries is no longer. And that's how these other nations, all right, have waxed enriched. They have waxed enriched, all right, by because America is a consumer nation. You look at the definition of import. It says bring goods or services into a country from abroad. From abroad. Well, that's what America does. That's why it outsources all of its jobs. Okay, so it outsources its jobs because, let's say you have a factory in America where you're making cell phones or, whatever you're making, you would outsource that job to a whole another country so you can pay them a lesser amount of money. Because here in America, people are going to want a livable wage, all right? Otherwise, there'll be protests, riots, uproars in the streets, just like there are now, right? It says, indicate or signify a commodity, article, or service brought in from abroad or sell. So America does a lot of importing, especially from China. A lot of things are made in China, made in Taiwan, etc. They're made in other countries, so they're known for importing. So the people who based upon that information, who you think is going to suffer from these tariffs, right? The consumers of the West, right? Because the rich are not going to ever be infected. They're going to make sure that, in fact, during the whole scamdemic, those years, man, they got richer, all right? And they did away with the middle class, so now it's either rich or poor, okay? Ain't no, and you're poor, you're working poor. You're busting your ass, living paycheck to paycheck, so you're not on the street, all right? Back in this article, right, actually, let me play this video, because this is how the other nations feel about Babylon the Great. It has become a marking stock. Right, I'm gonna cut the audio because I don't want to hear it. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, I'm gonna just say Moab. Speaking in code, Moab Media. Let's see if I could. Okay, I can't. Moab Media mocks Trump's policy on manufacturing in the U.S. Okay, and look at them. What do you see? What do you notice? All right, a bunch of overweight, obese people working in the sweatshop. Okay, and these people in Babylon, they're obese and they're lazy and they're stupid. Okay, but they're too fat and lazy to work in these sweatshops 10, 12 and a half hours. Okay, and overseas, you better believe they're doing like some maybe 16-hour days. In most cases, they'll build a fucking lodge where they could just sleep at the job. Babylonians, people over here in the West are not going for that shit, man. They want decent hours and livable wage. Therefore, a lot of jobs are outsourcing. So pretty much what this is saying is that, pretty much what Moab is saying without saying is that you need us because you Americans are fat and lazy and y'all ain't about to do shit. Okay, so the respect for this place is going out the window, okay, because other nations are surpassing it militarily, You can see that with all the women in the military, all the alphabet people in the military, okay? So the other nations have nothing but men, warriors, ready to die for their country in the military, all right? And now the money that they're making, because Babylon is an import consumer nation, they have put that money, other nations have put that money into their military. That's the weak saying, I'm strong, right? And as you can see, it's a bunch of fat, depressed-looking, docile-ass, overweight people, man. Dread eggs. And that's what you have. See, look, make Babylon great again. So they're scoffing. Okay? Let me see.
Most countries traded with the USA, but now look at 2020. China has taken over. China is now the leading trading partner for 124 countries. In 2000, China shipped a lot of cheap toys and clothing, but now they ship higher value industries like tech, machinery, and cars. They are now the world's leading car exporter, and it's mostly EVs. They hold 62% of the global EV market share.
They lead, so it's not just Tesla. Moab is outdoing Tesla. Those cars over there, man, that they got in China, they look like some shit straight out of a movie. They could parallel park themselves. If let's say you run off a bridge and the shit lands in water, it's not gonna sink to the bottom of the ocean and you panic trying to break the window to get out. The car is gonna float on water and drive back to land. So that's the technology. That's what these other nations have been doing with the money they have been making off Babylon. They have been, you know, they have been building up their military for one, but they've been beefing up their technology, their cities, all that. You know.
In countries like Brazil, 82% of the EVs on the road are Chinese. China's trade with Latin America is insane. This shows the year each country switched to China as their top trading partner. The US still dominates trade with Mexico, but China is the top trading partner for everyone else. This is what it looks like from 2000 till now. Check out Africa from 2000 to 2020, and China's trade with Saudi Arabia exceeds the United States and Europe combined. In 2010, Australia shipped 5% of their total goods to China, but now it's 50%. Also, their trade relationship with Russia has exploded too. This is what it looks like in 2024. Last year, China totaled $6.2 trillion in global trade.
Every race begins with a moment of stillness. There's a blank slate, a sense of balance and focus.
Salakia. Gonna wait for this ad. All right, that was the video. But yeah, as you can see, much more about China. They're the world leading merchants, if you will. They make a lot of shit and ship it out. A person or company involved in wholesale trade, especially one dealing with foreign countries or supplying merchandise to a particular trade, tea merchants. So Moab is the top merchant on the planet. All right. And now you have BRICS, which that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Other nations are coming together to step back from dealing with the dollar, the U.S. currency, all right, to make deals amongst themselves, man, to create a currency that they all can use so they don't have to deal with tariffs or sanctions or the hammer of the earth that is Babylon the Great. Back in this article here from InfoWars, at some point, hopefully in the near future, Moab will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable yet. On Wednesday, Moab announced it would impose an 84% tariff on U.S. goods in response to Trump's 104% tariff announcement. However, Babylon clearly has leverage in trade considering it is China's number one market. According to the Office of the U.S. Trade Rep, the U.S. exported 143.5 billion of goods to China in 2024, while importing products worth 438.9 billion. So it's purchasing more products from China. All right, 4.38.9 billion. 438.9 billion. Okay, that's how much it's bringing in. It's only exporting 1.4 billion. Okay, so they're pretty much doubling that, man. So China is making a killing of Babylon the Great alone. All right, despite it being like the world's leading merchant right now. The president added that countries that have already expressed a desire to negotiate trade deals with the U.S. are being immediately rewarded with a 90-day pause on tariffs and by receiving a special, substantially lowered reciprocal tariff. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called reps of the U.S., including the Department of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs. Okay, and that these tariffs, all right, it's pretty much them, trying to put a bomb on Babylon. Okay, or so they want you to believe. A tax imposed by a government on goods or services imported from another country. So they taxing them on that shit. All right, designed to influence trade, raise revenue, or protect domestic industries. Okay, But really, all these tariffs are doing are isolating Babylon the Great, and it's creating more interest in the BRICS nations and more resentment for the West. Okay? This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 7. Babylon, which is the West, all right, the whore, so you can understand, have been a golden cup in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. Now, what's in that cup? Their democracy, right? Their dollar, okay? Their religion, their Christianity, their feminism, all of their ways, all of their lies, which is why the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. They're pissed off. Okay, now it's to the point where a lot of these nations, including China, they've done away with all Western influence. You know, because they realized, because they drunk that wine, they realized the shit is poison. You know, we can't trust this whore. You know, let's just make our money off her and beef up our military. You know, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, and that's how the destruction is going to come, suddenly, like a thief in the night. No man knoweth the day, the hour, not the Yahweh Shai or the angels, but the Father only. But the Lord did give us signs and wars and rumors of wars, right? You might hear about a tariff war, but that's still a rumor of a war, you know? And on top of that, this is from Zero Hedge, U.S. attacks on Yemen are draining arms needed to deter China defense officials. Deter China from what? Because, you see, Babylon has too many fires to put out, man. You know, they got their hands in too many pots. Okay, so right now, you got the issue with Persia, right? From naturalnews.com. All right, the 47th readies for high-stakes direct nuke talks with Persia. Great danger looms if negotiations fail. So the whole world is watching that. Meanwhile, Moab or China is getting ready to take Taiwan. All right, so that's right there. That's wars and rumors of wars, man. This is Mark chapter 13 and verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, right? And there shall be famine, scarcity of food, lack of bread and water, and troubles, protest, riots, all right? Mourning, economic woes, you name it. These are the beginning of sorrow. So it's going to, and people in Babylon are already suffering from a recession, okay? Recession is a period of a significant decline in economic activity lasting more than a few months, characterized by shrinking economic output, rising unemployment, and decreased consumer spending. And on top of that, prices are rising. You have something called stagflation, right? Stagflation is an economic situation characterized by high inflation, slow economic growth, and high unemployment occurring simultaneously. So that's what we're experiencing here in Babylon the Great. All right, a recession and stagflation, which is going to lead to hyperinflation, which is going to lead to protests in the street. There's also rumors about Trump, you know. There's also rumors about this, you know. This is from Snopes investigating rumor Trump will declare Walmart law, all right, on 4/20 after invoking Insurrection Act of 1808. So that's the rumor, which they're not going to tell you. They're just going to do it. And I speak as a man, but I believe one of the cause for them that's going to enact the warlike law or the Walmart law is when people start hitting the streets, acting like animals, which they already are, but it's just going to get worse and worse because, as I said earlier, these tariffs are going to affect your working poor. So now, so now the dollar is going, you know. So now their purchasing power is far less than it was. With each passing day, your purchasing power is being sapped from you. Okay, and this is all being done to usher in that great reset to bring about a new way of buying and selling. Right. This is Jeremiah 51 and verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. So one of the balms we're putting, that man in office. MAGA, make it great again. Tariffs, those, Department of Government Efficiency. These are all forms of balm, but ain't nothing gonna work. Okay? 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed because the Most High, the judgment is written. It's not gonna work. Forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country, and that's what's happening. You're gonna have people in this country. They're gonna start leaving if they're not left already, because they're realizing that, it was the Babylonian dream was just that, a dream. You got to be asleep to believe it. All right, and let us go everyone into his own country. All right, for her judgment reaching unto heaven, and is lifted up unto the skies. I mean, there's no saving this bitch. Forsake her. All right. This is Isaiah 13 and verse 14. And it shall be as the chase roll. That's how Esau gonna be. Okay? He's gonna be all over the world. All right? The people gonna be out to get his ass. Okay? And as a sheep that no man take it up, meaning nobody's gonna take up for him. Nobody's gonna say leave that man up. No, most are gonna put the spirit on him to put his ass to death. Okay? They shall every man turn to his own people, and every flee and flee everyone into his own land. And now you got, Japan, Korea, or North Korea, and China teaming up. Okay? Look at that. Right? The different nations of Moab and Ammon, they're teaming up. That's the prophecy. Every man turn to his own people. Okay? Says, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantial low reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. News of the special offers to nations comes after Eric Trump last week urged countries to come to the negotiation table sooner rather than later, saying the first to negotiate will win. Okay. Zephaniah 2, verse 15. This is the rejoicing city that dwelt carelessly, and that's Babylon. They dwell carelessly. All right. Defenseless city. Meanwhile, it's infiltrated with sleeper cells. That said in the heart, I am, and there's none beside me. They believe they can never be touched. They have their most advanced nation, which now they're figuring out that this is a third world. How will she become a desolation, a place for beasts to lie down in? Everyone that passeth by her shall hiss and wag his head. And that's what they're going to do when this place gets destroyed. All right. So in Revelation 18, it tells you that, that they're going to lament, Actually, let's get that. Why not? This is Revelation. This is Revelation 18 and verse 7. How much she had lived, how much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, and that's what's coming. Many great miseries. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she had said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow, or think they're not going to be touched. All right, these people actually think what's happening over there in Yemen and other parts of the world will not come here. All right. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh Hashem Yahushua who judgeth her, and that's that nuclear destruction. All right, that besom of destruction. 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Though the other nations have been waxing rich off this place, all right, because of being an import nation, all right, they're going to lament when this bitch be destroyed because that's their cash cow being killed. Standing afar off for the fear of her torments, and alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buy their merchandise anymore. They ain't gonna have nobody to send all that merchandise to. All right.
Strong's G 1713. Imparas.
It says, one on a journey, whether by sea or by land, especially for trade, a merchant as opposed to a retailer, a petty tradesman, all right, a wholesale tradesman, merchant, okay, and that's what these other nations, all right, and they took the money that they have made, put it into the military, man, all right. See, we're in a time of war. It's in Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. These nations that were once, weak economically, militarily, they're now saying they're strong because they possess nuclear capability, because they have different resources, things of that nature. They have formed alliances to protect themselves from the West. Okay. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahushaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And that means the valley of Yahweh's judgments, because ultimately it's going to lead to these nations actually having a war in the Middle East, right? And this right here is going to pop it off. Them trying to go into Persia, all right, which they're going to go over there to back up their ally, the least of the flock, okay? The bear's going to get involved, Gog and Magog, and then all those nations are just going to become, just going to be drawn. The Most High is just going to draw on their ass, man. They're just going to be drawn there like a magnet, all right? Pulls you. It's Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne. All right? The Most High is bringing this country to a place of humiliation, all right, and confusion, okay, and taking away all authority. O daughter of Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate, no longer, the top nation, right? Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers, right? This place is being exposed, made bare, and invaded, right? 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So that's what's coming. Second coming of Yahushua, all right, with those chariots, okay, and the nuclear destruction. So with that, I pray this has been edifying and informative. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, to the hopeful elect, Shalom.